We know 600 billion is not enough then. When Nancy fancies, they have to hike taxes even more.
Do you then agree with the Republican leader in the Senate, Mr. McConnell, who says we're done now with the taxing side of it? Now we have to concentrate on spending. Is that done now?
No,
Is the revenue side of it taken care of yet?
No, it is not.
Are you then saying to the upper classes, get ready, you're going to have to pay some more? This is not the end of it?
Well, I'm saying that's not off the table.
Not off the table. Democrats reportedly pushing for $1 trillion in new tax revenue. But Charles is charged with the charge card out. What do you make of this?
Listen, seems like damn skippy we're not done with the tax hikes.
Man.
She was so.
Well, you don't think about it though, Charlie. I mean, they said what? 1.6 trillion was their opening tax hike bid.
Right.
They got 600 billion. So by their math, they're $1 trillion.
A year ago, they would have been happy with the 600 billion.
Absolutely.
And we know the 1.6 was something again, but she took it to heart though. And listen, Nancy Pelosi though, I will give her credit. She's voiced exactly what almost everyone thought, and you know, call someone cynical for believing that, but we know the Democrats want another $1 trillion. But this is what I didn't like about the interview. Somehow, they would only hit the rich. That somehow, hey, the rich should brace for even more. The rich should brace for more. Everyone watching this show just took a whack. Anyone that got a paycheck over the weekend knows it's not all about the rich. Oh yeah, you put them out front, and you know we make it all about class warfare and all that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, I thought the president, I'm really shocked. I mean, he got almost everything he wanted, but I'm shocked he didn't fight for that payroll tax. For that,
well, for no other reason than cover, because it's provided opportunity for a lot of folks to say 80% of the American people are paying higher taxes at the beginning.
Exactly.
So you'd like no other reason. I think the whole thing was a shell game anyway with the payroll tax thing. And but be that as it may, it now is incumbent on the president to explain how it is that 80% of the American people are getting hit with a tax hike.
Absolutely, but here's the real point. They were so desperate for any amount of money they could get to keep this whole shenanigans going. Listen, by the way, the corporate welfare in this whole thing is another story, but the fact is, anyone out there who's picked up the torch and got behind the president and said, yeah, let's get those rich, you know what? Be careful, because sooner or later, you know, you'll say, wow, these mansions we keep going to seem to get smaller and smaller, and one day you'll be in front of your own house with a torch. Like, what the hell? How did I get here?
Charles, don't keep like this. Do you get a sense, though, that the Republicans, while they say they won't bend on tax hikes, and they've had their fill of them, will bend in other areas like further limiting deductions, for doing the kind of sort of backdoor things that will appease the president and still get their spending?
That was a great piece by Stephen Moore. Anyone who didn't read it should. And just having watched this, reading that piece, I'm worried that the Republicans could bend more, to your point. But I think the general public needs to be worried because there are other types of taxes coming. Nancy Pelosi said something that was really interesting about how to get these taxes. She says she was fairly agnostic about it. In other words, we're just going to throw a hook out there, sort of like, you know, whatever we pull up in the net, that's what we pull up. So anyone out there who doesn't think that personal exemptions for families making less than $250,000 won't eventually be on the table, a gas emissions tax. Oh, when you talk about health care, how about the ideal, if that's the problem, that your employer paying for your health care? That's a fringe benefit. That's an economic benefit. The government ultimately is going to come after that too. There could be a gas emissions tax, a national sales tax. All of this stuff is still on the table. Where the Republicans will draw the line and continue to fight remains to be seen. But I do know all of these things are in the air and the quivers and
absolutely.
For the
but when taxes start going up, they just don't stop cold.
And not only that, though, they want that $1 trillion. They really do want it. And reading Steve Moore's article and watching how this played out, they should feel confident that they can probably push over the Republicans and get it.
Well, they feel they have their number now.
Yeah.
Charles, thank